of all these folks, the first person I met was Floyd. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was a completely different band. It was a wedding band. Yeah, there's no shame in that. In fact, there's money in that.
Yes, it is.
I urge you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I urge you to keep an open mind. So, but I know it's kind of a joke, but I was working with a different bass player at the time. He's passed away, but his name was Jim Spector, and we had a bass player in the band, a keyboard player in the band, but he was not available for this particular engagement. And so I said, man, I don't know who to call. And Jim said, well, why don't you call Floyd Domino? I said, Floyd Domino? He's famous. Why would he want to play with us? He's a founding member of Asleep at the Wheel, and he's been around since, Jesus. And no, but I mean, it's like, he wouldn't want to play with us. And Jim said, I'll never forget, he said, oh, he's just a regular guy like us. Just call him. And I was like, okay. And I called him, and he said, I said, are you busy on this thing? And he said, no. And I said, well, we have a wedding. And I was like, kind of cautious about it.
My thing
with you, man. I know. You'll be doing it to this day. Nah, I've heard you now. But it was like, a wedding date in New Braunfels or something. Marble Falls is where, no, Fredericksburg is where it was. Fredericksburg. And he said, oh, I'm available. And I was like, really? Okay. Well, all right. And then he came and played the gig, and it was like great.
It was lousy.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Lousy.
And then everybody else, we just kind of met. We all play with each other in different contexts, and
Yeah. Pope was playing keys, and then Pope referred me. And then one time we were playing at a school, and I had met Masumi at the Elephant Room, and her children went to that elementary school, and I said, hey, Masumi. And I told Mike, and she sat in that day and got the gig.
Well, tell him the story about how, he says, this is... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we were at the school, and we were at the school, and I was like, there's this drummer, a girl, a woman that plays drums, she's here, the kids go to school here, and I forget. So it was basically just that idea, like, yeah, she's cool. And I asked her, I think I told you or something. Tell me, you finish it up.
Well, it just goes to referral. It proves to you your perceptions are frequently wrong, because in the context of you go into a jazz club and you hear somebody play, you go, oh. Yeah, great, they got it, you got that. But when you're in a big room full of people at an elementary school, and somebody says, hey, this woman plays drums, you should get her to come up here. I don't know her from Adam. I've never heard her play in my life. Or for all I know, she just plays on a practice pad in her closet. I have no idea. I don't know her background. And so Michael says, yeah, get her up here, she's a player. I said, oh yeah, okay. So we brought her up, and she's proceeded to blow everybody away. It was one of those moments. Yeah.
And Shonda, same referral, right?
I was referred by Kelly.
Yeah. Kelly Glover, right?
Glover.
From the
music teacher.
Kelly Glover, but I think there was another singer who might have.
It's all referral.
It's all referral.
So your reputation, your reputation precedes you. Right? So if you have a good reputation, the door is open. Bad reputation, closed.
True. But that doesn't mean you have to be, super incredible player from the get-go. As you're coming up, you're playing with people more learning at the same level that you are, right? And then it just kind of grows from that. So I'd say that don't be scared to get out there and do it, because everybody has to learn that. Yeah. Everybody has to learn that. Let's see how we're doing on our time. Oh yeah. I tell you what, we only have time to do 2 more minutes. So we're gonna play a short number to end with. This is Up a Lazy River. Up a Lazy River. We can do this in 2 minutes.
Can we? What key is this in?
Seems to be in C eventually.
Let's see if I remember.
It starts in the 6.
1, 2,
Lazy river, the noonday sun.
very much. Keep on practicing.
For a very long time. My godmother is a jazz singer, professionally has been for many, many years, sang background for a whole bunch of folks. And so I started enjoying the music at a very young age, but I started singing it, sitting in at bars when I was like 17 years old.
Drinking.
I wasn't drinking.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
Let's see. I came to it a little later than most, but I've still been doing it for close to 40 years. So, yeah, about 40 years.
I would say about the same. I started professionally when I was 15. That was a long time ago. So, in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, he's younger than me.
Yeah.
So that's, even though we've been doing the same period of time, he started when he was a
Yeah.
teenager. And I was in my mid-20s.
I played like 25 years for professionally, but I played like 33 years.
33 years. Any other questions? Don't be shy. There are no silly questions. There's only silly answers. This is your opportunity. All these people, all of us, are professional musicians. This is what we do for our living. This is our job. So, if you ever wondered about any aspect of that, then ask away. Yes.
What got you to play it for so long? Like,
So, I'm sorry. What was it?
what got you to play it for so long?
It meaning jazz. Everybody has a different answer to this. I'll let everybody else answer it too. But for me, jazz is the ultimate expression, musical expression. I've played other styles too, and I'm not putting them down either because you learn a lot. Like, when you sit in a symphony orchestra, which I had the occasion to do that like once or twice in my life because they don't use saxophones. But every now and then there's a pop symphony, and they might hire somebody. So I've worked a couple of those, and when you're sitting in a symphony, everybody there is at the top of their game, musically speaking, in terms of reading and intonation and pitch production and all that stuff. They got that nailed. Technical facility, they got it. You put anything in front of them, they can read it perfectly. That's how they get those jobs, because there's a lot of competition for those jobs, which I can't do. I'm not that great of a reader, but I can, practice. I can do it. But they're at the top of their game. What they can't do, many of them, is what we're doing here today, which is improvise over a set of chord changes. And that's a whole different skill, because then you're having to think on your feet. You're having to, go with not just what's on the page, but what's happening in the band around you. So that's what drew me to it. What do you say, Mr. Stevens? What drew you to it?
Much of the same, the expression, because like Mr. Mellinger was saying, you have to be able to change, in a moment, something the singer might do, and you hear it and it just makes you just go, wow, and it's awesome, and you just respond to it. So it's that, or something the drummer, it's a constant type of communication that's going on here. So it just depends. If you get really attuned to listening and paying attention and feeling, it's a very much a feeling thing for me, right? Feeling how this feels, how I feel, in the moment. And if you notice, like, some songs are, fast and energetic, and there's a lot going to frenetic energy, and you're like, oh, okay, this is this. And then some songs are like long tones, long notes and space, and you're just like, okay. So, and it's all in the moment. Can't beat it. Anybody else?
For me, I think that I love most about jazz music, and what's kept me interested in it for the rest of my life, is that you're able to interpret so many different things, and because you can play one song several different ways, and so each time you play it a different way, it becomes a different song. You might hear something different in the melody that you never paid attention to before. And with that, like Michael Stevens, like he was saying, you're able to then riff on that thing. Or you might hear something lyrically different that you never heard before, where maybe the composer or the lyricist was trying to be witty, that you never heard that. But if you sing it a different way, you'll hear a different spin on a lyric. And as a lyricist, you're always looking for a different way to interpret a song, because you want the listener to be able to hear a different way to hear the song as well.
So for me, I'm kind of an outsider wherever I play. So, so I play country gigs. They think I'm a jazzer, and I play jazz gigs. They think I'm a country player. And but what I try to do, so I got into jazz because I fell in love with Oscar Peterson's playing. I loved how bluesy he was and his facility, and just so I wanted to learn the language and of jazz and stuff. But also, then I got the idea that you can take like the melody, the melodic kind of nature of a lot of country music, bring it over to jazz. You can take the facility and the stretching boundaries of jazz, take it over to country or something else. You can take the groove of R&B and like boogie woogie, bring it to jazz, because every genre kind of is kind of insular. They have their own little world lots of times, and when you bring in something from the outside, they're like, oh, I never thought of it. We all just do it this way, you know? And so that's kind of, you know, so every genre, I don't love every genre of music, you know, I don't have a connection with it, but I do with several different kinds, and I always think, what can I take from here and bring over there? And so it's always fun for me, you know, but jazz, you know, the facility and of the players is what drew me, but then I like the gut of the boogie woogie and blues and, you know, R&B stuff, and to bring it over. So you can, you know, everybody kind of has a different perspective, so that's mine.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a moment because
Uh-oh.
one of the
I know,
things.
right?
So put up a show.
Well, you know, the thing is, Floyd is one of the great boogie woogie stride type piano players, and one thing that he did, which I thought was always kind of amazing to me, was he took a very, very modern piece of jazz, which is John Coltrane's Giant Steps, and then he translated that into a boogie woogie. Just lay it on us. I'm not going to describe what you
You
do.
can play along with me and help me out here.
There it is.
Ready?
Go.
You're not going to hear that every day.
Great teacher.
Oh yeah, we still have some time. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do I play at a church? Yes, I have, but not right now, currently. You got a gig for me?
I may have a gig for you. We'll talk later.
No, yeah. Why you ask? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I play at churches. I play, you know, all over, so, yeah. You play? What do you play? Your drums, right? You play at church? Cool. Very good. Stay there. Stay there. It's a good place.
Here's a question for you guys. Is everybody here in the jazz band? Raise your hand if you're in the jazz band. Okay, some of y'all aren't, and some are not. So but you're all in band of some sort, right? You're on band class. All right, so here's a question for everybody. See, this is the dangerous part. If y'all don't ask questions, I'll start asking you questions. Raise your hand if you know all 12 of your major scales, reading them, not necessarily by memory, but reading them. Raise your hand if you know all 12 of your major scales. All right, good. Raise your hand if you have memorized at least 6 of your major scales, 6 of the 12. Right? If you haven't by memory, 6 of them. Great, excellent. Hands down. Raise your hand if you have 9 of them memorized. All right, still the same hands. Raise your hand if you have all 12 of them memorized. If you know all. Oh, there you go. Okay, excellent. Good. Well, so you know what I'm building to here, which is that the foundation for everything you're going to do musically, whatever the style is, I don't care. But the foundation that you're building as a player is rooted in those major scales. Everything is there, you know. And so we urge you to as soon as you can, to learn all of them, because that is sort of step one to becoming a musician. A meaningful player, and not just necessarily in terms of jazz or improvisation, but also just reading stuff, because out in the world these arrangements, and you might have seen some of them already, where they change keys a lot, they modulate. And so you might be in 3 sharps, and then you go to 4 flats, and then 6 sharps, and then whatever, And this is particularly true if you're doing Broadway shows type things. There's all kinds of modulations they're throwing at you all the time. Not necessarily always very legibly either. Some of that copy work is really bad. So you have to kind of know, because if you're in 6 flats, we already know what the 6 flats are. They're not going to be new flats each time. It's always going to be the same 6 flats. So if you're reading this piece of paper and this manuscript, and all of a sudden you got 6 things jumbled in the corner that kind of look like they must be flats. Well, then there you go. Then you're playing flats. So I mean that's what it is sometimes. Some of the copy work is just like the guy was doing it at 4 o'clock in the morning. So anyway. Any other questions? I can think of another one if you don't.
But my heart will travel on your wings. So if
Yes.
5'8"?
Hey, get it.
Well, nah, you're halfway there. He said 5'8" is what he says, 5'8".
Oh.
It wasn't 5'8", but you're very close. Very close. What was it? Yeah.
5'4"?
5'4", that's right. 5'4". So, yes, that was 5'4". You should have seen the dirty looks I got when I first passed out that arrangement to the band when we were rehearsing the season. They said 5'4". Surely not. But yeah, we did. All right. This next one is a number that's not one of his most famous compositions, but it's kind of cool. We liked it, so we decided to do it. It's called One Morning in May.
1, 2, 1.
One morning in May, don't forget, dear, that one wonderful day when we met, dear, the world over us flew clover. Life was carefree that day. One morning in May, oh, the rapture. Tonight, darling, I pray to recapture just 1 hour, 1 flower from life's faded bouquet. Kisses that came with the flame of springtime, burning your name in my heart. Precious to me like a rosary, now that we're apart. One morning in May to remember, though love's the mold as it were to an ember and dreams perish, we'll still cherish that one morning in May.
Michael Stevens on the bass. Masumi Jones on the drums.
the rapture. Tonight, darling, I pray to recapture just 1 hour, 1 flower from life's faded bouquet. Kisses that came with the flame of springtime, burning your name in my heart. Precious to me like a rosary, not a year apart. One morning in May to remember, though love smolders away to an ember and dreams perish, we'll still cherish that one morning in May. You'll never know how I pray, dear, pray that you'll come back to stay. Life has been dreary and gray, dear, since you left that one morning in May.
Yes? Mm-hmm. 10, 15. Oh, yeah. Sure. All right.
We still will do some Q&A. We're stopping at 10:15.
That's okay. Nearness?
So we'll continue with 1 or 2 more numbers, and then we will pause to do some questions. This next one is pretty well-known Hoagie Carmichael tune. It's been done lots of ways. We decided to do it as a bossa nova, which is a Brazilian style of music that came along in the early 60s, you know, right around then, and so when it kind of caught fire in the United States at least, and people became aware of it. Hoagie Carmichael, not a big bossa nova guy, kind of was writing 20 some odd years before that, or earlier, but we don't care, we'll do it anyway. So here's our version of The Nearness of You.
It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It's not your sweet conversation that gives the sensation. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. When you're in my arms and I feel you so close to me, my wildest dreams come true. I need no soft light to enchant me, if you'll only grant me the right to hold you ever so tight, and to feel in the night the nearness of you.
Thank y'all for welcoming us into your really beautiful school here today, this morning. Gorgeous, yeah. So, we're not used to this. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do some numbers from our current season of the schools, which is dedicated to the music of Hoagie Carmichael. Hoagie Carmichael was a pianist who was also a songwriter, and he appeared in films a lot, and I mean back in the 1930s. The amazing thing is that these songs are still being played today, many of them. So they continue to get updated, of course, for new audiences, but these standards are still being played. It's kind of amazing. So we're going to start with one of his earliest numbers. This is a song called River Road Shuffle. In the beginning, Hoagie Carmichael was kind of a Dixieland musician, and he worked with some very prominent Dixieland musicians of that day, back in the early 1930s, and even in the late 1920s. And this song is about, back in those days, riverboats were a big thing. People would go on them to gamble and to drink and to carouse and to hear live music. And they would have, well, yeah, we'll call it what it is, right? So, so they would have somebody out on the dock who would be like a barker. And the job of the barker is to get people onto the boat, right? Because people are milling around, they want to get them onto the boat. There'd be a whole string of boats. And they want to get them onto their boat, okay? So the point of the song, or the orientation of the song, is from the viewpoint of the barker trying to get people onto the boat, promising them all these things that are going to be happening on the boat. Okay, so that's what the lyrics are all about in this. So I'm going to start off with one of these early ones, Riverboat Shuffle.
Mr. Domino's on keyboard. Good people, we got life and joy. And a special orchestration, even Mama Dana will be there to strap for the boys and a room full of noise. Yeah, she gonna teach you shuffle and ride. So bring your baby. I'll be seeing you out the riverboat shuffle tonight. We'll be seeing you at the riverboat shuffle tonight. That's right.
Thank you. Let me introduce these wonderful players. It's a real pleasure for me to be with here today. Shonda Birch is our singer. Our rhythm section is Floyd Domino at the keyboard. Michael Stevens on the bass guitar. Masumi Jones on the drums. And my name is Mike Mellinger on saxophone. And flute. On this next number, you know what? This is a little bit unusual. One of the fun things about doing Hoagie Carmichael's music is that you do get a chance to kind of mess with it a little bit because, you know, it's old. And you can do lots of things with these standards and they still sort of hold up, you know, no matter what you throw at them. So we decided to test that on this next number. And we did it in a sort of unusual meter time signature. So we're not going to tell you what it is. I want to see if you can figure it out. Now it's going to be a mixed meter at the beginning, which is to say it's not going to stay in one. But when the solo sections start, the improvisation starts, that's going to stay in 1 meter. And I'm going to ask you guys when we finish if you have figured out what that meter is. How many drummers? How many drummers are here today, or percussionists? There's a few? Okay, good. Well, maybe y'all nail this. We'll find it. Actually, one thing you learn in a jazz band is that everybody's a drummer. Actually, any kind of band. Everybody's a drummer. So you all have to be keeping that rhythm, whether that's your job to play the drums or not.
James Brown said the same thing.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. If James Brown said it, it's gospel. So,
He also said,
What instrument is that? Saxophone? No, that's a drum.
So, that's right. So we'll find out. We'll ask you when we're done. But this is our version of Hoagie Carmichael's Skylark.
Skylark, have you anything to say to me? Won't you tell me where my love can be? Is there a meadow in the mist where someone's waiting to be kissed? Skylark, have you seen a valley green with spring, where my heart can go a-turning over the shadows and the rain to a blossom-covered lane, and in your lonely flight, and then you heard the music of the night, wonderful music, faint as a will of the west, crazy as a loon, sad as a gypsy, serenading the moon. Oh, Skylark, I don't know if you can do these things, but my heart will travel on your wings. So if you see them anywhere, won't you lead me there?